General Santos, Philippines, Ruthless Romero Duno is making his way to the ring. You heard that voice of the one and only Tattoo. I don't even know if he needs a microphone at the Belasco. There you see him coming in. Cuñado walking him up in that bright red shirt. I really want to. Sandman Boxing is his promotional company in the Philippines. Coming into some LL Cool J. Mama said knock you out, which is, oh, he's going to get Steve Kim's approval. So salama and or kumusta to everybody watching us in the Philippines. Salama would be thank you. So salama to everybody watching us. Or gracias. We'll go trilingua here. Well, actually, we got Bally Buffet. That's your own language, right?
That's it. That's a completely different.
Well, you and Mick Collins the other day were listening to some Irish music that there was no English in that. What was that?
That was just.
Man.
That's just pure traditional Irish. It's the same language as English, but just a completely different accent. You'd think we were talking Chinese.
It sounded like it. And here he is coming into the ring. His little brother Alda here, walking him in. Chimpa Gonzalez, the ever-present smile on his face. Don't let it fool you. Once he's in the ring, it is all game seriousness for him, but he has that smile, just a great personality, Steve. I think you talked to him a lot this past week.
Absolutely has the Colgate smile. 4 bouts in 2006, all scheduled 8-rounders should he get past tonight. According to Robert Diaz, the head matchmaker for Golden Boy Promotions, he will now move up to 10 rounds after tonight. But again, still has business to take care of against Romero Duno.
Coming into Tigres del Norte, this Chimpa, the man right there with the white hat, that is his father. Chimpa's half-brother is Cobrita Gonzalez, the former world champion. And there you see the man right there with the other white hat, that is his other brother, who is a law enforcement officer now, who had a great amateur career. There was talk about him possibly being a pro. Said no, decided to go law enforcement, he said, with a stable career. But he's in his brother's corner. Good family orientation on him. The little kid in the glasses. His little brother Alda here. You talk about a great kid. He will tweet you back and tell you how awesome you are all the time.
That kid is amazing, so he is.
And he loves the sport of boxing.
Every time I see him, he has a handshake for me and a smile on his face. He's a quality kid.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your main event of the evening. Set for 8 rounds of boxing for the Bacon WBC Youth Intercontinental Lightweight Championship. Damas y caballeros, este es su combate estelar de esta noche. Pactado a 8 rounds por el campeonato vacante juvenil intercontinental de peso ligero del CMB. En un clásico, México contra Filipinas. In a boxing classic, the Philippines against Mexico. Presentado a ustedes por Oscar de la Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions. La mejor cerveza del boxeo, cerveza Tecate Born Bold. Casa México Tequila, it's in the taste. Y Adriana's Insurance, es para todos. Sanctioned by the WBC President, Presidente del CMB, Mauricio Sulaimán. Supervisor in attendance, el supervisor en turno, Mo Nord. Y también sancionado por la Comisión Atlética de California, sanctioned by the California State Athletic Commission, Commissioner John Curvelli, Executive Officer Andy Foster, your supervisor, Sean Wells. Your 3 judges scoring this bout in ringside, sus 3 jueces, Carla Kais, Jerry Cantu, y el Dr. Lou Murray. And when the action begins, your 3rd man at the bell, el tercero en la superficie, Thomas Taylor. Ahora bien, amigos que nos acompañan a través de la señal de Estrella TV y los presentes desde el Teatro Belasco en Los Ángeles, California, Estados Unidos. Live from the Belasco Theater in LA, California, USA. Ajusten sus cinturones. Introducing to you first, the fighter standing in the blue corner. He steps in wearing white, gold, and black. His official weight, 134.6 pounds. Presentando ustedes en la esquina Tecate Azul, vistiendo calzoncillo blanco con oro y negro, con un peso de 134.6 libras. As a professional, he stands with an outstanding professional record of 12 wins against 1 loss, and 11 of those wins coming by the way of knockout. Presenta un récord casi perfecto de 12 victorias, 1 derrota y 11 de esas victorias por la vía del knockout. Representing General Santos City, Filipinas, Mahangina Edhino y San Mainina Pakbati, Romero Sandman Duno. And his opponent across the ring is standing in the red corner, wearing white trunks with gold and black. His official weight, 134.6 pounds. Y su rival en la esquina Tecate Roja, vistiendo calzoncillo blanco con dorado y negro, con un peso de 134.6 libras. Professionally, he stands unblemished with 16 victories, no losses, and 14 of those victories coming by the way of knockout. Presenta un récord perfecto de 16 victorias, 0 derrotas y 14 de esas victorias por la vía del knockout. Puritita Buena Park, California, el invicto Cristian Chimpa Gonzalez. To give out the final instructions, here is Thomas Taylor. Tercera superficie con ustedes, Thomas Taylor.
Guys, belt line's good here. Belt line's a little hot, coach. Belt line's a little high. I'm gonna let them work in here, all right? I've given you instructions in the dressing room. Protect yourselves at all times. Listen to my commands. Touch them up. Back to your corners.
So you're ready to go. Tom Taylor, the third man in the ring. Here's the tail of the tape, Steve Kim.
And both are very young, hungry fighters at the age of 21. And looking at their height, not much different. For the first time, Christian Gonzalez actually looking up at his opponent. Let's see how that affects him here for the next 30, 40 minutes.
We are ready to go. Our main event, 8 rounds in the lightweight division. Beto Duran, Steve Kim, and El Animal, Jason Quigley. Chimpa Gonzalez in the custom Everlast gloves. They're white. Ruthless Romero Duno, 12-1 from General Santos City with the black gloves. You wonder the nickname Chimpa? What we've said in the past was always got to say it because it's a pretty cool nickname. When he was a toddler, you know that Christmas toy with a chimpanzee is playing the cymbals, going back and forth like that? Well, they had that at his house at Christmas, and he started emulating that, and they're like, oh, he looks like a little chimpanzee. And as you know, with Mexicans, anytime you get a nickname, it will stick with you forever. And that's where the nickname Chimpa, he is now using it as his logo and as his brand. An opening round against Romero Duno. Chimpa 16-0, trained by his father, Oscar Gonzalez Sr. Coming out very aggressive is Chimpa Gonzalez.
Beto, I think early on, this is exactly where Chimpa wants to be. If he's going to be able to establish that jab, I think he'll be content to actually move outside a little bit. But if he can get in close, he's one of those taller fighters, Jason. Despite his build, they seem to be more comfortable inside than on the perimeter.
Yeah, you know, I think he's boxing very well right now. He's establishing his jab, which I said earlier on, I think is key in any fight. You know, I think his punches are definitely looking stronger and more effective than Duno's punches right now.
This is ruthless Romero Duno. Ruthless because of his style. He just comes at you. We saw that clip of him fighting in the mall in the Philippines. He will stand there with you.
And you know what the problem is right now? He's standing in with Chimpa, who I just really thought landed a very good-looking left hook.
A lot of people watching this fight all over the United States, also in Mexico. The Olympian just signed a Golden Boy, Raul Curiel Garcia. El Cougar, you know him at the gym in Carson, from Tamaulipas, Mexico. He's watching us in Lake Elsinore. He will be making his pro debut on the Canelo Chavez card in Las Vegas. If you don't speak English and you're watching Ring TV, you know you're dedicated to us, Steve.
Some would say you're better off that way. But Jason, I think moving on, I know one thing Ciampa seems to believe that he's a stronger puncher. I think the one mistake he can't make is to continue inside without at least throwing that jab in front of him.
Yeah, definitely. You know, he needs to use that key. He needs to open up the door against Duno because, you know, Duno's, oh, nice shot there by Ciampa.
Oh, and he goes down here in the first.
He's definitely hurt. He's
Ruthless Romero Duno has tagged Ciampa Gonzalez.
Hey, come here.
That's what I was saying.
Right.
earlier on, you know,
He got tagged.
That's why you need the
Tom
jab.
Taylor's looking at him.
Give me your gloves.
Is he going to beat the clock?
Box.
Final seconds of the first round, and he has no idea where he's at.
Big first round there, you know, Ciampa.
And Tom Taylor is looking at him. He is staggering. The doctor's the first one in that ring.
Guys, he left himself a little bit naked for all the offensive success he had. He did not mind his P's and Q's defensively about getting his hands back and at least leading off with the jab, putting something in front of him.
This is going to be very important now, this next minute for Ciampa. I think, you know, that he recovers well from this. He gets everything back and the strength back in his legs because, oh, that was a very good knockdown.
Romero Duno, 12-1, 11 KOs, Steve.
And Jason, did he make a mistake, Ciampa, in not taking a knee and gathering himself before the mandatory 8 count?
Yeah, without a doubt, you know, but, you know, that just goes to show you how badly hurt he is as well, that didn't even come into his head.
Trying to listen in on the corner. Second round.
I think Ciampa's legs still look a little bit wobbly right now.
Duno said he was coming for the big upset.
Ciampa can't just keep walking forward and expect to blow this guy out of here.
Keep the hands up.
He needs to get boxing.
You're Duno, what do you do right here, Jay?
Duno has to make sure that he doesn't go for the knockout and blow himself out because Ciampa obviously is a puncher also and could catch Duno. So this is going to be a very interesting round here now for both fighters.
Well, Steve, as you wrote in your story about Ciampa Gonzalez this week, his first fight with Golden Boy on this same stage, first round, he was dropped.
Right, and he seems to be taking the tactic. He's going to try to smother Duno, not let him unfurl his quick hands from the outside. I do question that, though, but I think the key for him, Jason, is just to see rounds 3 and 4. Just get out of round number 2 as he gathers his legs.
Because Ciampa's just walking forward right again the same way as he got caught the last time.
Again!
Oh!
Gets caught for the second time. An overhand right by Duno, right on the chin. Drops Ciampa Gonzalez. His eyes are glazed. I don't know if they're going to let him keep going. And it is over. A huge knockout for Romero Duno as Ciampa Gonzalez falls down on his back. A huge upset in Los Angeles.
Guys.
We knew he had some power, but I didn't know Duno had that much.
You know, I'll be honest with you. I think Ciampa early on had success, and I think he fell into the trap, Jason, of believing he was just going to be able to walk through this guy. And I think both those shots that put him down in rounds 1 and 2, I don't think he saw either one.
The clip that we seen of Duno previous, we were saying we weren't taking it off the opponent. We were looking at his hand speed and his thing. You know, the pop that he had in his shots were very accurate, very snappy, and very Manny-Pacquiao.
The story I read about Duno, he came to Los Angeles in December when he found out about this fight, and he trained at the Wild Card, did everything Manny Pacquiao did in Los Angeles, and let's look at the replays.
Oh.
You know, that's just a beautiful shot, you know what I mean? And, you know, Ciampa, credit to him, you know, tried to get back on his feet. You know, showed heart there to get back up and try to get back up, but, you know, just a brilliant shot by Duno.
Just the way he falls.
Yeah, when you don't have your legs and you lose your legs, they're basically lost forever, at least on one night. I thought it was very interesting that Ciampa began round number 2. There's 2 ways you could do it. You can either smother a guy or run around the ring. I think he may, and again, this is 2020. It's hindsight. Jason, he might have been better running around the ring.
He's still on his back. They have a brace around his neck. Ciampa Gonzalez. Duno told me at the weigh-in, Steve, that he had watched a lot of videos of Ciampa and he saw some flaws in him that he would expose. I think that was what he was talking about. Maybe he saw the first fight where Ciampa was dropped a year ago, but that one he recovered tonight, he didn't. As Victoria Duno and Neftali Duno, Kumusta, your son is going back home with his 13th professional victory.
this is something in boxing now that I would like to point out to all the keyboard warriors and everything out there. You know, you don't play boxing. Look at Chimpa Gonzalez right now with a stretcher in the ring. You know, these boxers get in there and they leave everything inside those ropes. You know, no matter what people say or what people do, you know, this is a tough sport, and people put their lives on the line as soon as they step through those ropes.
It's a harsh reality of the game. We were talking about Chimpa, who's still being attended to by the ringside physicians and the paramedics. Perhaps graduating from this platform tonight, he got a dose of reality in shocking fashion. Duno now, all of a sudden, he is a player. He is certainly one to look out for. I still remember when Manny Pacquiao burst onto the scene, Beto, way back in, I think it was May or July of 2001. He was an unknown fighter, even though he had won a couple of titles. Fought on the Oscar De La Hoya undercard against Javier Castillejo and was the opponent to a guy by the name of Lelo Ledwaba, who had the IBF 122-pound title. And much like tonight, to a certain degree, he just blitzed Lelo Ledwaba and really, at that point, arrived.
As Joet Gonzalez will be fighting April 1st in Las Vegas, who knows Chimpa Gonzalez well. They're no relation, but he knows him, sends me this message. Chimpa was slow. He needed to keep his hands up. He didn't do that at all. He never recovered from the first round. Great observation by the undefeated Joet Gonzalez.
You know, Ryan Scalia tweeted at us here, said that was a different Duno than the one that fought Alexiev in Russia. Wild card camp under his belt. Huge difference. Again, iron sharpens iron.
Well, Steve, to bring up the point of Duno's fight in Russia, I watched a little bit of that, the part I could find, and I asked him, was that a dirty fight? He said, yeah, I was headbutted early, I was cut. I didn't really have my equilibrium in that fight in Russia. He said, I learned a lot about that fight, and this is a kid. We only saw a round and a half. At the age of 21, that power is real.
One thing, as Jason pointed out, though, it's one thing to have power, but his hands are very fast. So, Jason, you don't see the power, which makes it even more effective.
And this is exactly what I pointed out. The shots that he hit Chimpa with were knockout shots.
That he didn't see.
Exactly. They weren't shots that are just big, hard, powerful shots. These speed kills. And that's just proven there tonight.
Jason, you said it at the end of the first round, the start of the second round, after Chimpa came out. You said he doesn't have his legs.
Yeah, you know, I seen him walking up and his legs were a bit gone. And he just carried on the same as the first round, just walking forward against a guy that just dropped him and they can punch hard. But then again, it's easy for us to look at it because Duno, regardless, was going to chase Chimpa down there. You know, so it was give or take. Whatever Chimpa was going to do, it could have ended up the exact same way.
Chimpa Gonzalez, his dad, Oscar Gonzalez Sr. It's a boxing family. We mentioned his half-brother is Alejandro Cobrita Gonzalez. So they've been there. They know what it's like when you lose and you got to get back up there. And Steve, I think you wrote this in your story that it was graduation day, but you had to pass.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. And tonight he certainly did not get his diploma. This is a very, very tough sport. And, you know, I know people are going to be critical of the matchmaking. I kind of laud it. If you're going to go on to that next level, I want to see you. If you can't beat a Duno, who maybe he's the guy that's the real prospect. Now, I think we need more fights of this nature. I think a lot of fighters are baby all throughout the process, and they're also not tested. And, you know, the one thing about Christian Gonzalez, the first round I thought he believed he could overpower Duno. I thought he was having a lot of success. Then he got hit with that shot. He didn't see. And Jason lost his legs.
57 segundos en el round número 2, declarando el ganador por la vía del knockout. We have the official time at 57 seconds in round number 2. Your winner by the way of knockout. And new WBC Youth Intercontinental Lightweight Champion. El nuevo campeón mundial juvenil intercontinental de peso ligero del CMB. General Santos City, Filipinas. Romero Sandman Duno.
There were a lot of stories written about Duno that I was able to find in the Philippine newspaper. His entire promotional company, that you see Sandman Boxing, came with him. 4 members flew in today just for this fight. Steve, go back to what you said about matchmaking. Why would somebody be critical of it? Because you can only fight at Belasco for so long.
Right, and at the end of the day, if you're going to go onto a platform, and again, we all know about Golden Boy Series with ESPN, if we want to see quality fights on that particular network, you better have fighters that are seasoned, and beyond that, you better have fighters that have proven something. It's one thing to hit slow pitch softball. Can you hit live pitching? And I don't know if this is the end of Chimpa. Again, we have to check him out medically. But this is certainly now a step in the positive direction for that man, Romero Duno.
This is in the first round, I believe. What do you see, Jay? Go ahead.
No, Chimpa pushing on, putting the pressure on. But you see the sharp, crisp shots coming from Duno. But there's Chimpa, landing heavy shots. And that's what I think. Look at that.
He landed that in the first.
And he was doing very well. He was winning the round up until the knockout. And look
he got caught. That's the first time we see the replay.
Just a short right hand right from the elbow. And the other thing that set that all up and that allowed it to happen, Duno had a chin. Other guys in the past against Chimpa have basically been so devastated by punches, they can't do this type of stuff.
That there's the kind of, that there's real power.
Hey, can we run it back to where the knockout happened, the first one? Because it happened so fast. This is the second one. That's the one, the end of the night.
These are the kind of shots that just dropped you. You see everything drop. It's not as if he's hurt or wobbled. He's just gone.
Yeah.
The bodies, huh?
Yeah. And Beto, go back to that last sequence, overhand right, short overhand right. If you're going to land or lean on a guy like the way Chimpa was, you got to be all the way inside.
And let's look at the first knockdown. This is, as you said, Jason, Chimpa was controlling that round.
Yes, he was one on the...
If we rewind it a little bit before that, because I think Chimpa landed a shot.
Here we go.
Here we go, into that corner.
There's the shot Chimpa landed, and then boom.
Oh,
but you see the way Chimpa dropped his lead hand coming in. He was looking for the right, dropped the lead hand, and got caught.
And the other issue is you got to know when to punch at a certain distance.
Yeah.
In that particular sequence, Chimpa got caught in no man's land. You got to be able to punch where you're much more susceptible to hit the guy than not being hit, and I think that's exactly what happened to Chimpa. And then the second knockdown, again, if you're like I said, if you're going to lean on a guy, you got to be all the way on that shoulder to be able to smother that right hand.
You need to be protected at all times, you know what I mean, and you need to know your whereabouts at all times, and that's exactly.
And here is the shot that ended the night. He stood up, beat the count. It's going to be a right hand.
Bang. See, his left hand was not up, and he also gave Duno some airspace to allow him to basically throw that can opener right hand.
He has no idea where he's at right there. A lot of heart to even get up, but Tom Taylor, veteran referee, stops it immediately, but that's the scary part where he just falls back.
As I said previously, my wishes go out to Chimpa. I hope he recovers well, and, God bless him and his family.
Well, little bonus action from earlier in the night. Nico Valdez went 4 rounds with Alejandro Osuna.